Do not take your mind too seriously. That's Eckhart Tolle talking about it. It was the first session and the eighth session, the last session that he did at Omega Institute. This is the retreat he did for 5 days or so. It's a total of 11 hours or more. And at the beginning and at the end, he said something like, do not take your mind too seriously. And I liked it so much. The funny thing is that maybe due to my age or unfamiliarity to English, can't remember that. There's too many syllables to remember, but the point is so good. The Japanese way to look at is just the two symbols, stop and see. Shikan. Shi is stop in this case, and kan is observation. Shikan. It's a Tendai, one of the sects in Buddhism, Mahayana, came into Japan, and the origin is the Vipassana, Anapana and Vipassana, that you do observe what's going on as it is. That's the essence of it. And Japanese or Chinese use the symbols, and the symbols easy to remember for me. So compared to the sentences in English, the image is important, what the essence of the message is. So shikan, or don't take your mind too seriously. Or you can also say don't take yourself seriously, because it's an ego. You as a person with a brain and use it, and in modern day society we use it, I would imagine, 80%, 90%, or even more for some people. And many are very good at it and speak eloquently and to the point to communicate. But the silence in mind is it's a counterintuitive thing, but it's very important. It's paradoxical, because if you're occupied in your mind, you lose the sense of your being, where you came from and how you're functioning. So that requires a sense, observation of what's going on. And for example, I went to 10-day meditation for Vipassana by Goenka. That's all they do. Let the thinking go and observe your breathing or inner body sensation. That's pretty much all you do for 10 days. In Japanese, it's shikantaza, just sit. And the point is that this is the image too in Zen they often talk about. It's the analogy of wave and ocean, or the ripples, or down deep in the ocean, at the center of the ocean. So both are with water, but the ripple is changing all the time, but the center, deep down in the ocean, is quiet. So it's kind of presenting the calm and quiet mind. And to the point that I call it mirror mind. When mind is moving, you still retain the sense of being at the center of the ocean. It sounds very contradictory and not easy to practice, and that's pretty much the case. So in meditation, you try to get the sense of what it is to be like at the center of the ocean, down deep in your consciousness, or no mind. or no self. So the teaching is easy. The practice is the name of the game. But if you can understand the meaning of do not take your mind seriously, or do not take yourself seriously, that is to point the essence of our being. And there's a profound meaning in it, because if you can identify with that sense, no self, no mind, stillness, vast emptiness, and you realize that that's the core of your being, whatever happens in the mind, it's not something like you get caught up and jump around and lose the sense of what's going on. So you can navigate better to use your mind and live your life. It's easy to say, but saying and doing is different. And like any sports, and this is a very important sport of how to live, you want to master the skill. Repetition is the master of the skill. If the mind habit is oriented to use the mind, okay, you may be very good at talking, thinking, doing. But the question is, if you are orienting your life in the wrong direction, and if you are good at it, to maneuver, but not connected to the root of your being, that may create a gap in between. And I use the word brain and heart, or brain and body. Brain is what's in the mind, and body or heart is how we develop who we are, starting from the origin of the life and all the ancestors, generations after generations, and us being born as a miracle. And there is that life energy manifesting through our body. And who we are as a construct is the evolutionary process that has taken place in the past. And there's lots of wisdom to be able to, for us to function, see, smell, hear, taste, and touch, use the mind, and synthesize all of that to live well and not to be suffering by abusing any of those sense and abilities that we've got. So there has to have some kind of a gyroscope, I call it, to monitor how things are going. And if we lose that gyroscope, or not developing, cultivating to have that gyroscope, the sense of being versus what's in the mind, then we are like focusing the ripples, disconnected from the root, and there's a gap, blockage that can be developed. For example, mind is too busy, then the stomach may be hurting, but we don't notice it. If we notice it, and to live healthy is important, and navigate your life is important so that you don't get into trouble, then we need to have a sense, gyroscope, to monitor how the life energy is manifesting. Not in the manner optimized in the small area, sub-optimizing, but not looking at the whole picture. So we need to learn the skill, not just doing things and using the mind, but in line to what this evolutionary process of how we are built following the law of nature, is connected to that. And if we have a disconnect, that blockage and disharmony, so to speak, because one is trying to live and the other one is pushing the limit, desire or sadness, whatever happens, and you don't notice what is suffering in your stomach and body, may develop some kind of a problem, cancer or disrupting the immune system, but we keep pushing. That's not healthy, and that's not the good way to live a life. At one point, I remember happiness cannot be found in the mind. It sounds silly statement, but that was when I came out of surfing, taking shower at Malibu, and with a towel and refreshed, sun, blue sky, breathe. The body was happy, vibrating. The sense of vibration is inner body sensation. And that's when I felt happiness. Not just when I had this awakening experience and I found that I could connect to the bodily sensation much more easily since then. And the waku waku, how the life energy is coming out without any blockage. It's as if like you're a child again, no limitation, liberated. There's peace as it is when we notice that. And we may have lost that sense and to be busy in our mind. So do not take your mind too seriously. If you feel some meaning in it, importance of it, I'd like to ask all of us to work on not losing the sense of this aliveness and the waku waku, so that the mind is better aligned to express who we really are. The answer has to come by each individual, and the talk is cheap. So I will stop talking. But if you pick some idea up from this short sentence, don't take your mind too seriously. Maybe you find a way navigating your life better, more harmonized and balanced, and be happy. I'll keep working on it. The habitual pattern may not go away, but the repetition is the mother of skills. Practice, practice, practice. And have fun. Thank you.